adding and subtracting like fractions. Like fractions are just fractions that have the same denominator. In this case, we have a over c plus b over c. They have the exact same denominator, c. So what we do is we just add the numbers on top. A plus b is equal to c. Or over c, not equal c. Over c. All right? So c does not change. Your denominator doesn't change. You don't add denominators. You don't multiply denominators. Your denominator does not change. You just add the numbers in front on top. Any questions? All right, write this down. We have 5 over 8 plus negative 7 over 8. So what I do, okay, I look, is this a like fraction? Yes. Okay, all of these today are going to be like fractions, but later on you'll have to check, and so make sure it's like fractions. It is yes, so it's going to be over 8. 8 does not change. And we just add 5 plus negative 7, which 5 plus negative 7 is negative 2 over 8. All right, and then we reduce. Okay, I can take 2 out of each and get negative 1/4. That's my answer. All right, so we have 2 3/8 plus 3 7/8. Okay, when you have like fractions in addition, there are several ways of doing it. I'm going to show you both ways today. Okay, when you're adding, I think the easier way is to do it this way, where you add the numbers in front. 2 and 3 is 5. And then add fractions. 3 plus 7, which is 10 over 8. Now in this case, right, we can't have 10 over 8, can we? No. So what I do is I take 10 over 8 and I change it into a mixed number. How many times does 8 go into 10? Once with 2 left over, right? Okay, which is the same thing as 1 and 1/4, right? Okay, because 2 8s reduces. And then I add that to 5. What was 5 plus 1? 6. So I have 6 and 1/4. Okay? Now, most of the time you will not get an improper fraction. Okay? So I think this is the easier way of doing it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all this. Okay? And then I'll show you the other way of doing it. This way, like I said, with addition, I don't think it's necessary. But with subtraction, I do. This is the way I recommend for subtraction. So you don't have to write this down. Okay? But you will want to when we subtract. What we do is we turn these into improper fractions. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 3 is 19. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 7 is 31. So then we add those. 19 and 31 is 50. Okay, then I change 50. I take 50 divided by 8. 8 goes into 50 6 times. 2 left over. Same. So 2 8s is the same thing as 1/4. There's my answer. Okay, I don't care which method you choose. Okay, as long as you choose one of these methods. But like I said, when we do subtraction or you're adding a negative number, that's the way I recommend because it's much easier. Okay, just to change the improper fraction. You've been doing that for the last couple days with multiplying and dividing fractions. So I think that's the easier way of doing it. All right, let's do this one. All right, so we have 3 2/5 and 8 1/5. Doesn't matter which one you choose to turn in improper fractions or just add the front numbers and the fractions. Doesn't matter. Okay. With addition, I don't find it to be any easier either way. So I'm just going to do it where 3 plus 8 is 11. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we have 11 3/5. You can change it in improper fractions. You'll get the exact same answer. Okay. But like I said, this might be the easier way with addition. All right. Any questions? All right. Let's do subtraction of like fractions. All right. So when subtracting like fractions, okay, if the denominator is the same, then the denominator doesn't change. We just write it over C, and we just subtract A minus B. So for this one, Okay, these are like fractions because they have the same denominator of 10. All right, and we just do 3 minus 9, which is what? Negative 6 over 10, which reduces. I can take 2 out of each and get negative 3/5. Any questions? You need to write this down. All right, the first thing I do is I replace x with 3 1/4, and then y with 1 3/4. Okay, like I said, okay, when we were adding fractions, I don't care which method you use, just add them up or make them improper fractions and then add. With subtraction, I prefer you and I urge you to use improper fractions, and I'm going to show you the 3 ways to subtract fractions like this. But you'll see pretty quickly that the easiest way is to make them improper fractions. Okay, and there's a reason why. So let's do improper fractions first. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. What's 13 minus 7? So we have 6/4, which same thing as 1 2/4, which same thing as 1 1/2, right? Okay, easy enough. Okay, was that pretty easy? Yes. You've been making improper fractions for a whole week now. You should be able to do it. Okay, it's not that hard. So this is the way I prefer you to do. Let me show you a different way. So 3 1/4 minus 1 3/4. Now what I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to just subtract them. I do my fractions first. I have 1/4 minus 3/4. Okay, there's 2 ways of doing it. This way, which I have to borrow because we can't do 1/4 minus 3/4. So what I do is I make 3 2, and I add 4 to 1 to make it 5. So I make that 5/4. Because remember here, 1 is equal to 4/4, right? Okay. So what I do is I just add my denominator to my numerator and get 2 5/4, which does everybody agree that's the same thing as 3 1/4? Yes. Okay. And then I subtract 1 3/4. 5/4 minus 3/4 is 2/4. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 2/4, same thing as 1 1/2. Is that the same answer? Yes. Okay. But some people get confused when we're borrowing. All right? You've been doing it since 2nd grade when you learned subtraction, right? But it's with decimal it's with fractions, and people get confused. Okay? We just add our denominator with our numerator, okay, to bump that up. Here's another way of doing it. I'm going to do one other way. Okay? And the reason I'm doing it that way is to show you can do it this way. But again, it's harder and it's more confusing, and you're more likely to get it wrong. Okay? I can do 1/4 minus 3/4. I know that a minute ago I said you couldn't, but I can. Now we know integers. What is 1/4 minus 3/4? Negative 2/4, right? Which I'm going to change that to 1/2. Negative 1/2. And I'm going to do 3 minus 1, which is what? 2. So I have 2, and I have negative 1/2. So what is 2 minus 1/2? 1 1/2. Is that my answer? Yeah. Yes. All right. I can do it that way. I don't want to, because I can make this 1 and then 2 over 2. Right? Take a half from it, and we get 1 1/2. I don't think you need to do it this way. Right? The way it's easiest is to make them improper fractions. Everybody see that? Right? Make them improper fractions. You will not get them wrong if you make them improper fractions correctly. This way you might get confused and you might do it wrong. Write this down. All right. I have 9 3/8 minus 5 5/8. Again, you choose one of the 3 ways you want to do it, but for me, I prefer you and urge you to do improper fractions, so that's how we're going to do it. 9 times 8 is 72. 72 plus 3 is 75. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 5 is 45 over 8. What's 75 minus 45? 30. Okay. 8 goes into 30 3 times. With how much left over? With 6 eighths. Okay. With 6 left over, which is the same thing as 3/4. Was that hard? No. Again, that's the way I encourage you to do it. You can do it the other way. Where you borrow and make this 8 and make this 11 over 8. Okay, 11 minus 5 is 6. So you have 6 eighths, and then 8 minus 5 is 3. Right? So you can get the exact same answer, but I think there's less room for mistakes if you make improper fractions, since you've been doing that for a week now. Write this down. First thing I look at, are these like fractions? Yes. So my denominator doesn't change. Then I look. With variables, I have to look to make sure these are like terms, meaning they have the exact same variable. Do they have the exact same variable? Yes. Okay. If one of them was AB and the other was A, that's not the same variable. If one of them was A squared and the other was A, that's not the same variable. They have to be exactly the same. If they're exactly the same, we call them like terms, and we say we can add the numbers in front. 2 plus 4 is 6. Can I reduce this? Yes, I can. I see 2 in both of these numbers, so I take 2 out of each. I get 3a over 5. There's my answer. All right, so you will be expected to work variables today.